sometimes I found myself lusting for a specific nib. Either that I want to own it or if I want to ride with it. But if I would be true to myself, I would say that that specific type of a nib, it's highly, highly impractical. Welcome back to the channel. I'm super happy to have you back. I hope you are okay. And it is time for a very fun video. In this one, we're gonna test a few of my most peculiar nibs. By no means they are boring. They're gonna rock your world. And some of them are mine. Some of them were sent by a very good friend of mine, Thomas from Germany, which if you don't have a friend like that, you need it, because he sent me this zipper case from Galen filled with awesome pens, and some of them are truly shocking. Their nibs are incredible. I never seen them. I'm lying. I've seen them a couple of times, but in pictures only. I haven't tried them. Where should I start? Well, I do collect fountain pens, and I do like to have a little bit of let's say exotic taste in regards of nibs. I started to collect fountain pens and I was primarily looking to get double broads and stub nibs. Well, that was in my early beginning. From then I started to go finer and finer. I came down to a medium, then extra fine points, but at the current state of things, throughout my entire collection, I do have numerous choices in regards of nib sizes, up to double broads and triple broads in some cases. But I do have a specific category of nibs that are simply out of this planet, are so far ahead. In this video, I am going to show you those specific nibs, and I'm going to start to write with them, show them, tell you a little bit of the backstory behind them. Let's start with the first nib that I consider quite comfortable, and it's the first one on this list. It's a nib from Nakaya that I have on my Nakaya Dorsal Fin V2. This is a Kuro Taminuri fountain pen, urushi coating, black over red. Beautiful fountain pen. There is a video review for this specific fountain pen. I'm gonna link it up here. You can check that out and see for yourself the details of this incredible pen. But we are not here for the details of this pen. We are here for the nib. Let me zoom in and let me show you the nib. On Nakaya fountain pens, you pretty much are able to order a specific variety of nibs, all colors, ruthenium, rose gold, gold, silver, including dual tone. I went forward and got a ruthenium color, soft, elastic, medium point. The nib features these cutouts right here on left and right shoulders, and that's supposed to make the nib more prone to be flexy. I have to say that I haven't found a huge difference in between the soft medium and the soft elastic medium points, because I tried them both. But maybe on the elastic that I have on this fountain pen with the cutouts, it is maybe 10% more easy to get flex out of it. Nakaya Dorsal Fin, soft, elastic, medium. And I'm going to show you a little bit of line variation and how far am I willing to push it. This is what you can get out of this nib. I would advise you to pick a more fine point if you want to have a little bit more line variation, but I am with this medium very happy, because I wanted to have a little bit of the both worlds, to say so, to have a very good everyday carry fountain pen writer, and yet nothing which is so fine that I can't use on my daily rotation if I'm using specific types of paper that I don't have at the office. I went with the medium, which is overall a little bit better than a fine point in my opinion and in my use. I wouldn't call it a over-the-top nib in regards of exotic factor if I would be comparing it to the other ones that I'm gonna show you. But in all aspects, it's a nib that you need to be very careful with. You need to adjust the pressure of your hand when you're using it. I wouldn't say that I am going to use this fountain pen on a rush. It's not super wet. It has a hint of a feedback, nothing unpleasant. Let's put it right there, and let's go with the other one. And the other one, it's a normal nib, but just let's define normal because it's on my Namiki Emperor Vermilion. We are talking about the monster 18 karat number 50 Namiki nib. In between a shovel and this nib, there isn't too much of a difference because this is a huge nib. And just to show you how huge it is, I'm gonna try to find a Visconti nib, which I believe it's quite a big nib, an oversized nib in my opinion. Take a look at this size difference. It's huge. The Namiki number 50 nib, it's one of those nibs that simply can change the way you're looking at your fountain pen. And again, we do have a review on this fountain pen. I'm gonna link it up here. This is a medium point. It writes like a medium, maybe a little bit on the lower side of a medium. It's a Japanese nib. It has the stamping of the Mount Fuji. It's overkill to say so, overpowering, like bringing a gun towards a knife fight. Reverse joke-ish, you know what I mean. It is one of those nibs that simply are too much to say so. I often find myself using this fountain pen just to get a taste of this incredible huge nib. The position that you hold the fountain pen, it's very important because being such a long nib, the point from the grip section towards the end of the nib, it's such a long distance. It's gonna affect the way you're holding the fountain pen, in my opinion, or this is how I feel when I'm using my Namiki Emperor, and that creates a little bit of trouble to say so if you are using the fountain pen and you don't have the space for it. If you're crammed up and trying to write something with this fountain pen, it's gonna be not that comfortable to use in that scenario to have this Namiki with you. And let me show you how it's writing. Namiki Emperor Vermilion, and this is an 18 karat gold medium. This is how it's writing, and if we apply a little bit of pressure, there is a little bit of give. You can open up this valve and just simply add some flow to it, and it's a little bit more wet. I do have to say that I try to just simply have this fountain pen always inked up. I'm gonna try to just simply show you some line variation with the valve open, plenty of wetness. This fountain pen, it's such a joy to use. But again, it's something which is big, exotic to say so. If you want to have someone gouging its eyes out when it's checking out my fountain pen collection and it's someone that's not familiar to fountain pens, I do show him stuff like this because I know for sure it's gonna have a lasting impression. Those are two nibs which I do consider the ones that are a little bit more practical from this standpoint of today's video, and we're going to move into those that are simply very out there. And let's start with something which is a custom pen, and I don't have too many custom fountain pens. I do have very limited taste in regards of having something custom done, but when I've seen this fountain pen, I said I want to have one, and I did contacted Monty Winfield. This is an ebonite fountain pen which is lacquered, but it is not urushi lacquered, it's just simple lacquer. It has a very nice burgundy color which you cannot spot in this light because the lights of the studio are a little bit more dim. We have a titanium clip. We have this very nice brushed titanium grip, and the nib. This is a stacked steel JOWO nib, and the work on this, it's incredible. The nib, I think it's called the Seagull. If you look closely at the tipping, you can see the resemblance with the beak of a seagull. This nib has two ways of writing, in normal writing and in reverse writing. So let's get the paper and let me show you how this incredible nib is writing. Monty Winfield. I hope I spelled this correct. In normal writing, it's just like a fine point, fine medium-ish. In reverse writing, it's a double broad architect. And this is quite a fun nib, because you basically have two nibs all wrapped up in one. And this gives it a little bit more practical sense. The architect point is just like a blade. If you watch it like this, the nib has a thinner edge, and when you go like this, it's very narrow lines, and when you go like this, it's much more broader. This is a fun nib. Do I use it often? Not that much, and most of the times, not a lot. Like right now, I do have a very shading ink. I believe this is something from Sailor, a brownish ink, but I do use fun inks, like something with a little bit of sheen, a little bit of sparkles, like shimmering inks, and the effect is unbelievable. Anyway, let's move further, because we do have 1, 2, 3 nibs, and the ones that we are going to go through are some of the most wildest choices in regards of nibs. They cost a lot, they're not for everyone, but they're hell of a lot of fun to use them. We have this pretty fountain pen, and this is my classic Pan LB5 Tairiku. This is one of the most rare fountain pens that there is out there. If not rare, it is quite known and difficult to acquire. I know that we are not here for the fountain pen, but just a few words. This is made out of diffusion bonded acrylic. It's based on the King of Prophet or the King of Pens from Sailor. It is a little bit longer than your usual King of Pen, and the nib on it, it's something which is quite rare. Is the 21 karat gold stacked cross point nib from Sailor, made by Nagahara, or Mr. Nobuyashi Nagahara, which is sadly no longer with us. And this is one of the most mythic nibs that I personally own at this very moment, because this is something that I lusted for to get. I wanted to have it on Classic Pens LB5. I had it, and I didn't use it as much as I imagined using it. And let me show you why. Classic Pens LB5, and this is cross point, and this is sort of a triple quadruple broad nib in my opinion, and it lays down so much ink. It's just like a Sharpie, if you ask me. And it has also a slight let's just say gradient grind, because if you use it like so, it's very fine, and if you tilt the fountain pen a little bit lower, it's just like a double broad, and if you put it down like so, it just simply triple quadruple broad. This is such a smooth nib, wet nib, fun nib to use. You pretty much can, in theory, burn through a converter of ink in a matter of a page or two, because it lays down plenty of ink. As much fun as this nib is in practical sense, it's not that usable. Maybe if I'm signing something, maybe if I want to just simply make a statement, or if I want to brag, this is the sort of nib that I would choose. Let me put everything aside, and we are gonna go through 2 fountain pens. These 2 fountain pens that I'm gonna show you are not mine. Those are sent to me in order to test by Thomas from Germany, a good friend of mine. Never been seen by me, never been used by me, and I was shocked that I had the chance to just simply receive this fountain pens and to share them with you. The pen is a Montblanc 146, but the true surprise is when you remove the cap, because we do have a Montblanc bespoke nib. And the actual line of bespoke nibs from Montblanc is something mythical in itself, because if you want to have one of these nibs, you actually need to get in contact with Montblanc, and you actually have to go through a process that's going to take a lot of time. And I don't know too many info, but you pretty much have to pay a considerable price and wait in line for such a nib to be developed on a fountain pen for you, and then you're going to be presented with it. It's a very, very interesting nib, and I'm going to try to show you the underneath situation, because basically it's an italic nib, but the tines are just like a music nib. We do have 1, 2, 3, 4 tines. Let me show you how it's writing on the paper. We have Montblanc 146 bespoke nib. This is a ultra wide point nib. I would say this is a 1.6, 1.8 millimeter italic point. It's quite smooth. It's wet. It's a joy to use. But if you tilt the nib and start to write at this point right here on the edge of the nib, watch this. Fine point. If you tilt it a little bit more, it's broader. If you tilt it a little bit more, it's much broader, but actually extra fine. You can write with the nib like so, and it's very smooth, very practical. Everything feels very smooth. There isn't a huge difference in regards of the writing experience from a normal nib, and makes this impractical nib maybe a touch more practical. This is the bespoke line. It's on a 146. It's a very impressive nib. I haven't tried such a nib till this point, and I was very fortunate to have such a friend to allow me the courtesy and the privilege to test such a nib. But we do have one more notch up, which is simply mind-blowing. It's on this very underrated, although it's a very nice Sailor 1911 fountain pen. It has some butterfly Maki A, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm going to show you this very cute pen, but the nib is just like a dragon. Actually, no, it's a reptile, not a dragon. And I think you already catch up on what it can be if I said sailor and reptile. This is the cute design on this fountain pen, this butterflies, which I believe those are Maki A. Those are painted on this fountain pen. And let's unveil the reptile. This is one of the most rare nibs that I've seen and got to just simply test on paper. This is the Sailor Cobra 1911 21 karat gold nib. This is a nib that I've seen like 2 or 3 times in my life in some pictures on Instagram, on some profiles. It's that rare. I haven't seen it. I don't know if Sailor is still making them. 5 years ago when I started in this hobby, I've seen a person having one of those nibs, and I do remember asking if it's available for sale, and he said, please don't ask. Actually, it's made out of 2 nibs stacked one on top of the other, and this point is actually just simply ground to a diamond or a triangular shape, and it's just simply mind-blowing the sort of wetness and line that this nib is gonna put down. If you look closely like so, you will see this triangular nib configuration, and this is why it's called the Cobra, because the Cobra is going to puff like this, and the head on top, and then you have that shape of the Cobra, and you can clearly see that the nib resembles this, and this is why it's called the Cobra. And the fun part is riding with it, because the looks are impressive, but trust me, the riding with it, it's just out of this world. Let me show you. Even I don't know if I'm ready for this. And we have Sailor 1911, and this is a 21 karat gold, and this is the Cobra. If you put it like so, it's gonna ride a little bit more fine, but if you put it down, watch this. It's a, you can actually just paint your room with such a nib, because it's gonna lay down a huge amount of ink, very wet. Look at this, look at that. It's insanely wet, and it's such a fine experience, such a smooth experience. You actually don't feel anything snagging, anything, just simply you get ink on the paper. It's a small pen, it's an impressive nib, and it's an overkill in my opinion. Well, that sums it up. Those are some of the nibs which I do consider to be a little bit more exotic in my opinion. It's not something that I use every day. It's not something that I would say it's something practical for you out there, but anyway, I know for sure that if you are like me, you are interested to have these nibs. They don't come cheap. They are not, some of them are not even available at this point, and you can find them on the secondary market quite appreciated from the price point that they were initially sold. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you like. Let me know if you have such nibs. Let me know where you're using this sort of a nib. Those are my humble options, and I do love the fact that I was able to share them with you in this sort of a video format. If you find my content useful, interesting, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. This will help me a lot with the YouTube algorithm to reach out to many more just like you. If you're looking for an next writing instrument, just scroll down a little bit. You'll find the details for the PenVenture website. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for being here with me on the PenVenture YouTube channel. If you want to help me grow the PenVenture YouTube channel, subscribe. If you're not subscribed yet, you can click there, turn the notification bell on, and you will be notified whenever we have new content. Speaking about content, if you want to continue watching my videos, I'm going to leave you this right here. You can click and enjoy. As always, I'm your host, Amy from PenVenture. I look forward to seeing you next video. Take care, stay safe, bye-bye.